tweeted that you're live, so.
Did I? Yeah, but I got a spinning wheel of death going here. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. All right. So I'm online on Periscope, online on Facebook, online on
live.
All right, we're live. Yay! Welcome everybody. How you doing? We got a bunch of old hosts with us here for the Big 600 show. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So we're gonna start in just a couple of minutes. Just getting everything.
Who are you calling old, by the way?
That's what I was going to say.
A lot of past. How's that? A lot of past.
Past sounds better than old.
Past hosts on the show.
I don't know. That could be worse. That sounds like we're dead.
You are to me, man. You are to me. Yeah.
You know.
Yes. Okay. Looks like everything's working out. Everything's coming through. Okay. Daryl, have you had any issues on your show with YouTube or Facebook or Periscope?
No, not recently.
No.
Well, I don't do Periscope.
We did last week. We had an issue last week. This week seems to be working okay. It worked. It was just, it didn't say it was working, but it was working, which was really weird.
That is.
Yeah. It was.
But are you using the StreamYard, or are you still using that?
No, it was Restream that was happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Say, we're not using Restream because about the time I was getting ready to set up that, they announced that you can do multiple streams through StreamYard.
Right.
But we can only do 2.
Yes. Yeah. I could do more than 2.
Right.
Yes.
And StreamYard does allow for more if you upgrade the membership. Yeah. But we'll try Facebook, see how that goes. Yeah. And we've had a little bit of action on Facebook. The only one that got much traction was when Joshua was on.
Really? Wonder why?
Yeah.
Wow. Joshua brought people on? No.
Yeah, well, but I figured we'd see more on YouTube than on Facebook. You know, he is a YouTuber after all.
Right.
But apparently he's got more traction on Facebook for the live stuff.
Yeah, what could be interesting? Apparently he's coming up over to Auckland for the Auckland Mega in October, so we'll see how that goes.
I know. Are you gonna go and meet him?
Well, I'm going to the Mega. Whether I'll meet him, I don't.
Oh, you'll find him. He has a crowd around him at all times. You can't miss him.
He's the loud one.
Yeah.
With the camera stuck up in the air.
He is the loud one with the camera up in the air. You can't miss him. All right, let's start the show. Let's deal with this. All right, guys. So we're gonna start the show. Chad and I have to do some ancillary stuff for like 5 minutes. So try and
behave
for that. We gotta go through our row. We gotta pay the bills. Y'all understand. All right, here we go, guys. I'm pushing record. Okay, Zoom is running. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
You want to know how to find it. Seek it out when they hide it. You know it's in the bag when it's an easy grab. But come on, take a chance now. So go, geocache. And if you need help, we're right there in a flash. If you got a question, just call in and ask. Uncover the stash on the Geocaching Podcast. The Geocaching Podcast.
Welcome, everyone. It is Wednesday. It is 8:30, which means it is once again time for the Geocaching Podcast. My name is Scott Burks. We have Shorty Nitz manning the phones, and please welcome to my virtual left, my co-host, the man, Chaz 427.
Howdy, y'all. Are you ready for a blast from the past? A celebration by the host nation?
That's right, Chad. This tonight's episode 600. 600, Chad. Recorded live on January 29th. I actually almost said 19, 2020. And it is the 600 show celebration. Phone lines are open. Give us a call, 808-468-7924. That is 808-GOT-SWAG. You want to talk to one of these people on this panel right here, old hosts of the show. And yes, I said old hosts, not past hosts. They're not dead. They're old hosts. You give them a call.
I wasn't rude. I said past.
808-468-7924. But Chad, before we do that, we got to talk about Patreon. All these hosts know costs a lot of money to make a podcast work. I'm sure none of them will deny that. And we really could use your guys' help. You know, the call-ins feature All this stuff all costs money. And over on the other side, over on the inner circle, we have a ton of extra audio, extra video, only available to our Patreon members. It just keeps growing every month. And we love all our current subscribers. Hey, we just had Carrot Killer, who was a patron, just upped his pledge, Chad. Upped it.
All right.
Went from the bottom tier to the middle tier. So we got middle tier now.
You must have impressed them when you went down there to Texas.
I went there and we were clean. Jesse and I were relatively clean. We didn't soil the sheets or anything like that. We were good. So apparently that earned me a tier. So we appreciate it very much. Thank you, sir, for moving up. We appreciate it. Guys, anything you can help. You want to become a Patreon member, you give us some scratch. You can do that at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/the Geocaching Podcast.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Cachly. Cachly is an advanced geocaching app for iOS. It features powerful online and offline features, including filtered searches, offline maps, and offline saving of caches. Cachly has hundreds of advanced features that will make your geocaching experience just that much better. Get more info at cachly.com. That's CACHLY.com.
And tonight we're also sponsored by Logwork. Logwork, the creators of the fantastic logbook, made with genuine write-in-the-rain paper. The logbook designed for the micro-containers of the present and future, geared towards the hider who would rather go cache than do cache maintenance. You can find them at logwork.com. That's LOGWERK.com.
It's also brought to you by FTF Geocacher Magazine. FTF Geocacher is the magazine for geocachers written by geocachers. With 6 issues a year, FTF offers practical advice, instant tips, cacher bios and milestones, geocaching events, trail tales, and all things geo-related. Find them at ftfgeocacher.com.
And by the Max Suds Body Company. Max Suds Body Company makes handmade bath and body products from all natural oils and butters. Items such as Poison Me Gone soap, itch spray, and 2-cent choices of bug spray are all great for outdoor enthusiasts like geocachers. At Max Suds Body, we have you covered from head to toe. Find them at maxsudsbody.com. That's MACSUDSBODY.com.
And by Practical Geocaching. Practical Geocaching sells utility items for geocaching. Our items are made in the USA, and we always provide free shipping. Find them at practicalgeocaching.com. That's PRACTICAL geocaching.com.
And finally, by pathtags.com for all your swag and path tag needs. Visit our website to get creative help, to trade or log tags, or to purchase your own personalized path tags. With over 39,000 tags to collect, pathtags.com is everything you need to start your path tag obsession. Visit them at pathtags.com. That's good Lord, TAGS.com. And as usual, you can find links to all our sponsors on our website or in our show notes. Chad.
Yeah.
We are loaded here tonight.
Oh, yeah. We got a few people.
It is the 600th celebration. Welcome to all our hosts, all our former hosts. There we go.
That's the word.
Former
hosts. So I'm going to talk to you guys each one-on-one here, but I want to start with X-Punk X. X-Punk X, hello, sir.
Hey, man. It's good to be back.
The owner of this, of my podcast. This is your podcast. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. It's so good to be back on the show, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. So let's start with you. You started this podcast.
Sure.
You did.
Yeah.
Tell us your thought process on how many 2007 how
Something.
it came about. How it came about.
So I was sitting in my office at work and I came across a service called talkshoe.com, which basically allowed you to do kind of a call-in thing. You called in, host called in. It sounded like you were on a telephone audio call because it was bad. But I was like, this is great. What can I talk about? And I was like, I'm a geocacher. I love geocaching. Let's do that. So at the time, it was just me. The very first episode was terrible. It was just me talking to myself about all of the things that are geocaches and what exactly it is. And shortly after that, I was like, I knew Daryl, and I said, Daryl, you need to come help me with this show because I can't do this myself.
Yes, Daryl did. Yes. Yeah, I see. If you go to our timeline, you started around February, May. Daryl came on the show. So not long after Daryl came onto the show.
Yeah.
And shockingly brought in Daryl because Daryl would be my choice.
He knows audio. He knows he was doing a podcast at the time, so I figured he's the right person to bring on.
Well, I think that's how we actually met was through Cache Maniacs because I did an interview with you. You were,
Oh,
I
right,
think you were
yeah.
folding laundry at the time too.
I might have been. Oh man.
So yeah, it was an interesting interview, and then we talked a little bit after that, and I think it was like the third or fourth show that I came on, and we talked about what was that? Was that events?
I can't remember. It's been a long time, and I don't think anyone has the old audio. So
No, I don't even think it exists. I have. I mean, the archived YouTube channel, I think, goes to the late 200s, early 300s episodes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. I think either you or Head Hard Hat lost them in a purge, I think, or in a.
During Head Hard Hat's early reign, he had crash. What was the service? Was it GoDaddy?
yeah, I'm not sure. I know that like I had some of the stuff, and I may still have them. And Scott, I may be able to get them. I'll have to dig back in my archives to see if I even have them.
Come on, you got to get those back up.
If I do, you'll get them. Okay. So
yeah, there was a major crash on that server or something, and everything got lost.
Yeah. So
if you have any of that X-Punk, you absolutely first for the archives.
absolutely.
I will put it someplace online where it will stay.
All right.
And somehow it didn't end up at Internet Archive.
Oh yeah.
No, it's not. No, it is not. It must be that old. My guess. Is my guess. So in November of 2007, Montu Ryder comes on the show. I could not find Montu Ryder. I tried to send him tried to touch base with him. Couldn't touch base with him at all.
I know I'm friends with him on Facebook, but I know he had some health issues a while back, so I don't know what his status is there, if he's doing well or not. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've even seen him on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then, this is all, and then so then in March of 2011, we've got Montu Ryder leaving the show, and Head Hard Hat joining the show. As when Andy came in. And again, Andy couldn't make it tonight, but I do have a note from Andy. I know everybody was interested because Andy put a long time into this show. He when X-Punk left, Andy took over the show and he produced it and ran it for I think a good 6 years. I think he's the longest actual being the host of the show. Andy couldn't make it tonight, but he did send a message to us, guys. So I'd like to read that right now. He says, "Greetings, everybody. Andy Head Hard Hat Smith here. First off, I would like to apologize for not making it to tonight's historic 600th episode. Unfortunately, life gets in the way at the most inopportune time, as it has for me on this occasion. That being said, I want to congratulate the GCPC cast and alumni for being a part of such a cultural experience as the Geocaching Podcast. For over a decade, this collaborative group of talented hosts, guests, and fellow geocachers continue to entertain and inform the world of our little secretive, fun-filled, family-oriented activity known as geocaching. It is my sincere hope that the GCPC continues on for many more episodes to come. I often look at the photographs taken while geocaching over the years. Each one brings back memories of adventure and discovery with such clarity. Then to be able to relay those experiences on the podcast seems to amplify the fun we had by discussing them with our listeners. My, how we could have talked for hours if left to our own conversations. That is something that will always be close to my heart, knowing there was a place to commune with such friends. You are all in my thoughts, and I look forward to all the new experiences you will have to share. See you out on the trails, Head Hard Hat." So thank you, Andy, for those lovely words for us. We got a call real quick here. We're bringing in Texas. We're bringing in Care Killer. Hello, sir.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
You've got 12 years of hosts here on the show right now.
Wow.
I know, that's why I'm calling in. I wanted to say, I discovered this podcast when I had probably 10 finds, and now I have about 6,500. I've been listening the whole time, and I've even met 4 of the hosts. I've met Andy in person. I've met Daryl. I've met Chad. I met Scott. I guess I could say I've met 5. I've even met Jesse. So, just want to say thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Very welcome.
Oh,
welcome.
That's great of you.
And so, did you have dinner tonight, by the way?
Yes, thank you so much, Scott. Provided dinner for the Dimsharp family.
I did.
I came home and I had pizza fresh from Chicago on dry ice at my doorstep.
Oh, wow.
Illuminati's
Nice.
pizza on his.
Oh, Illuminati's. Oh,
How was it?
sorry.
It was excellent, and yes, I've never had any pizza like that. We both enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. That's a little slice. That's Chicago right there, my man.
Hey, how come you don't send me some of
Yeah.
that?
Because you don't let me stay at your house for free. That's why I don't get pizza.
Oh, okay.
Although Daryl does too, and I don't send him pizza. So
Yeah, but we've stayed at your house too, so it's
that's right.
reciprocal.
That's right. Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you so much, Care Killer. It's awesome to hear from you.
Yes, thank you guys. Have a good night.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
And you. Yeah.
So Andy takes over the show. In 2000, I'm sorry, no, Andy joins the show in 2011.
Right.
Mhm.
And then come September of 2013, X-Punk X leaves the show. This is when he leaves. So from 2007 to 2013, you were on the show, and you leave the show in 2013.
Right. It was a hard day, but life was getting in the way and we were moving and doing a lot of stuff. So for me, it was time to hang up the hat and pass on. And I knew that I had some good hosts that were going to take over with Andy and Daryl. So it was well worth passing on instead of just taking it offline.
And you were losing your internet.
That is true. So it's going to make it really hard to podcast via the internet.
Yeah, podcasting via dial-up doesn't work well.
No. It doesn't work well at all. No.
Yeah, I think Corey knows something about that.
Yeah, Corey does. The Carolina Casher joins the show as well in September when X-Punk leaves the show. Again, I could not get a hold of Dave Kent. Tried very hard to get a hold of the Carolina Casher. Could not. TalkShoe was abandoned, and Google Hangouts becomes the way we do this show in September. Also, in the July of that year, the podcast stops taking live on-air calls. Talk to me about that, X-Punk and Daryl. You guys are both around. Why did you stop taking on-air calls?
Well, because we were doing TalkShoe, or we stopped doing TalkShoe and going to Google Hangouts. It was just a lot harder to do that, and we really didn't have at that point a lot of people calling into the show, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So we had people listening to the show live as we did it, but we didn't have a really good way to have them call in. So we didn't.
Well, we did actually take calls after the switch, but we were using the Telos and my phone lines at home.
Oh, right.
So we were bringing in that way, but I think over 3 months we had one call.
Really? Oh.
Wow.
We really weren't getting much participation. This is about the same time, if I remember correctly, that we ended up shutting down the Cachemaniacs podcast. Because there was a point in which it was really, really tough to get geocachers to come on and talk.
Really?
Yeah, it was. We couldn't get people to do the interviews without really, really putting in a lot of time and effort. I would say when we shut down Cachemaniacs, or made the decision to shut it down, we were getting 20 rejections for every one that we were getting wanting to come on the show. Now, once we did the wrap up and went back to some of the earlier interviews, we were getting almost 100%. But those were people we'd already interviewed, and we really wanted new people for that show.
Sure.
Fresh blood.
Yeah. Well, and this is also about the time when people were dumping their landlines. Everyone was going cell phone, but you still had to pay for minutes.
Sure. Oh,
it hadn't gone really unlimited.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think that was part of the issue there.
Right. We go to October of 2013. I joined the show, and Corey joins the show. Corey, what do you remember? How did you get asked on the show? Daryl brought me in. Daryl's like, "Hey, can you help out? X-Punk's leaving the show. Can you come
well,
on?
And that was right as you were wrapping up Chicago Geocacher podcast.
No, Chicago Geocacher ended in April of 14. So
yeah. But you had announced that was like your last.
You were ending. Yes.
Yeah.
It was an end date. So Daryl brought me in. Daryl says, "Hey, can you come on for a couple shows?" And 6 years later, I'm still on the show. But, Corey, what about you? How'd you get onto this crazy show?
I begged and I pleaded, and it was grueling. There was a hazing period, but
Daryl had
I kind of stuck for a while. And so it was just interesting. I asked because they were looking for somebody to help out. So I sent a few emails.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. You were a great host, Stevens. I got to admit, Corey, me and you had a lot of fun in that first year and a half, or 2 years that we did the show together.
You know, and I was looking back. If you half this and went back to show 300, now everybody in the studio, go check this out, because 300 was where Scott Burks and I went out separately, different states.
Oh yeah,
and we did the what was the glimpse, and we had Head Hard Hat and Daryl telling us where to go to find the cache.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
using glimpse.
Yes. Daryl was telling me how to get to the cache. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, dude.
Oh,
That was fun.
But you know, it's funny, Corey. When I was in Texas, I was laughing because Carrot Killer watches our show on this huge TV on the wall, right? So like, I mean, we're like larger than our big melons are just like huge. And so I told him, like, throw on an old show. So he literally just randomly picked a really old show, and we were laughing because we were also thin, and I didn't have so much gray in my beard, and me and you were doing the. Remember we used to do the post-it notes at the camera. We kept doing that. It was a lot of fun to
Yes, it was.
Like, I totally forgot about that. I'm like, oh my god, yeah. So we go to 2014, and Carolina Casher leaves the show in April. Dave Kent. Daryl leaves the show in October to focus on his shows, and good old Chaz joins the show in December of 2014. The Chaz, I remember, was there was not really a contest, but we had a bunch of
we had somebody with a medical name.
It was Montana CPR guy.
Montana CPR
wow,
guy.
Corey, look at you.
Hey,
right.
I've gone caching with the dude.
And a couple other people who basically, they had one of us on the show for a week, for 4 weeks, for a total of 4 weeks, I believe, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
And then I got chosen to be the whipping boy.
Yes, in December of 2014. In March of 2016, Corey finally leaves the show because he's been off and on because he had internet, didn't have internet, had internet, didn't have internet. Finally said it's finally tapped out.
I mean, in that period, I had moved, I think, 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, insanely.
Yeah, it seems like he was moving every other month.
I know. He was like,
this landscape back here changed every like 2 or 3 months.
Weren't you in a church for a while too? Weren't you in like a church basement for a while?
Yeah, the temporary housing.
Oh my goodness!
Between other housing.
Hey, they had internet, but when I finally laid in Whitefish, Montana, they had just enough internet to get your emails.
Right.
It was down to megabytes. It was that bad.
Wow. So then 2016 comes around, December of 2016, and Sarah joins the show. Again, like Chad, had a bunch of different hosts come on, and Sarah was chosen. Sarah, what are your recollections of those times?
Well, the first one was really scary because you sort of did trial by fire and got the 4 contenders on to each do a show.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember listening to everybody else thinking, they're awesome. And then for some mad reason you picked me. I have no idea why, but I was very grateful and thanks for doing so. So yeah, I had a brilliant time. Bit of juggling time zones and datelines.
Yes, because Sarah.
Hey, somehow we managed to make it work.
Where are you from? Why don't you let the listeners who don't know where you are from?
Originally the UK, but I live out in Wellington, New Zealand.
New Zealand.
So we're a day ahead of you guys.
Yeah, she's from tomorrow. The future.
Yeah, you're tomorrow.
I'm your future nightmare. Yeah.
So Sarah came on, brought a whole different perspective to the show because she was from New Zealand. Obviously, yeah. So summer there, winter here, vice. A bunch of different different caches, different time zones, different seasons, everything. So Sarah was on, brought in, and then I'll move all the way to May of 2018. When Andy decides he's going to leave the show, and he gives the show to me, and I, of course, am in the middle of baseball season, and I knew what I wanted to do as soon as Andy left the show. I knew what I wanted to do. And so I shut the show down because I had to finish baseball season. I had to retool, and I called Daryl and I said, Daryl, help me. How can I do this? How can I make the show the way X-Punk wanted the show to be, an actual call and talk show?
Well, and I remember you called and talked to me a couple times too.
I called you as
Yeah.
well. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I called you too because I wanted to let you know what I was doing, and I needed, hey, do you know where any of this stuff is, or and so it took a while. It took a long time, and unfortunately, Sarah had to pay the price because I knew if we had a call-in show, we could only have two. We could only have two hosts. The third host,
I only got two questions to say. Why aren't you on it? Is it because Scott can't cope with a stroppy woman who gives stick back to him?
No, it was more of I wanted the Collins to be the third host, and I figured with four hosts, a four host was a juggling act, and
yeah, well, it did get a bit crazy at times.
Yeah, and so unfortunately, Info Ferret had to pay that price. No, trust me when I say I loved you. I have no ill will against you at all. It was just Chad had the seniority, and Chad wanted to stay.
And
so
and the time zones work a hell of a lot better. Tell you what, guys, let me know when you want picking up from the airport. The offer of a sofa bed is still open if you want to be.
Yeah. So the new show comes on in 2018, and here we are. We are here at show 600 taking phone calls. Guys, if you want to call in, 808-468-7924. You have a question for any of these guys, because I do have questions for these guys. So that is how we got to where we are today. X-Punk, thank you so much for
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
You are the king to me, because seriously, you created this great show, and it's an honor to host this show and to be in charge of it, because I equate it to kind of like Doctor Who, where somebody has it for a little while, and then they give it up to somebody else, and then I have it, and eventually I'm going to give it to somebody else.
Right.
I want it to keep going. I want it to live beyond me. And beyond Olive and Chad and everybody, So I look forward to not today, not tomorrow, but eventually we'll pass it on to somebody else. But I love the fact that I have it, and I appreciate you giving me something to start with.
You're welcome.
To blossom it. So thank you so much. I do have numbers here because we're all nerds here, and I know Jeff will love this. He's the biggest number nerd there is. So. Who do you think has been on the show the longest?
Or you mean that has done the most shows?
Done the most shows. Who do you think has done the most shows?
Not me.
I've got the show notes, so I know.
I know you got the show notes, so you can't say. Daryl, who do you think has done the most shows?
I'm gonna say actually you have.
You think I have?
I think so.
I am not even close.
No? Okay.
No. Stevens, who do you think has done the most show?
This guy.
You? Oh,
no, this guy right up above me.
You're like Brady Bunch, aren't we? Like, hey.
The original OG.
The OG X-Punk you think has done the most. Sarah, who do you think has done the most shows?
Well, I would have said Head Hard Hat.
You would have said Head Hard Hat.
Yeah.
You were all wrong.
Right.
All of you. Daryl.
Yep.
Daryl. You've got the distinction, Daryl.
Oh, allow for
Nice.
Daryl, not only do you hold it well.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Okay, X-Punk. We'll start with X-Punk. X-Punk, you did 318 shows for a total of 2,404 days.
Wow.
Wow.
Daryl, you joined in May of 2007. You hold the distinction of having 360 shows for a total of 2,710 days on this show.
Wow.
Daryl, 360 shows.
So really, he's the old guy. I mean, he's he's been on it longer than I have.
Back in my day.
Hardhead joins the show in March 2011. He has 327 shows with 2,618 days. Daryl, you've got him by like 40 shows of like, that's like half a year. Oh, that's over half a year. Stevens ad infinitum, 140-ish shows. I'm going ish because we don't know when you really stopped. For a total of 882 days.
Maybe we got some partial shows in there, and
I cut out quite a bit towards the end.
Some snow angels.
Scott Burks comes into 273 shows for a total of 2,283 days. So Daryl has me, just to show you here, Daryl has me by 100 shows. I have to be on the show for another 2 years for me to catch up to Daryl.
Wow. Now, Bounce is asking, is this just this podcast or all of my
Just
shows?
This podcast.
And I know that that's true because I did 500 shows of Cashomaniacs. We're on 421 shows of Geo Gearheads.
Yeah, I know.
And then this on top of it, plus all the other appearances I've done on other shows.
In your silly little biking podcast.
Oh, yeah. And I did like, I can't even remember how many of those. Probably another 100 and something.
Of the biking one?
Yeah.
Oh,
That ran for almost 2 years.
really?
Yeah. So I started with that one. And that did Cashomaniacs. Added Cachers of the Round Table.
Yeah.
Started doing Geocaching Podcast in between there.
This is why you have no children. This is why.
Yeah.
So how many shows did the Chicago podcast?
About 108. We did 100, and then we did about 8 more.
Well, that was what, monthly?
That was every 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes.
So let me get back. So we got Taz. Taz comes in 221 shows and 1,857 days as of today on this podcast.
Yeah, just a little over 5 years.
Yep. Info Ferret, 58 shows, 669 days.
That many?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Shorty Knits has got 67 shows, 457 days. The Carolina Cacher did 30-ish shows with a total of 212 days. And Montu Rider did 108 shows for a total of 1,216 days.
Wow. That's collectively a lot of time in this show.
That is a lot of time, man. That is a lot of time. So I asked our patrons, our fantastic patrons, some questions for you guys. So I got some questions here. So basically, there's a simple one here. What have you been doing with the spare time since giving away hosting? So tell us what you guys have been up to. What have you guys been doing in your spare time?
Oh, I guess I'll start. I have a family now. We have 4 kids. Well, I had a family then, but I had 2 kids that were just at that time. Got 4 kids now. I'm working full time. I have another podcast that I'm on, so I don't have spare time. I'll say that.
And what is your podcast?
The podcast that I currently produce is called Dudes and Dads Podcast.
Dudes and Dads, a very good podcast actually. I listen to it. It's a very good podcast.
Thank you.
If you're a dad, you should be listening to it. So I guess women can too.
They can, and we can be found anywhere that you listen to this show. You can find us there too. So,
Daryl, what about you? What you been doing?
Well, of course, I went to full time on Geo Gearheads, and that's still going. But work has gotten
going, Daryl?
That's still going. 420 something episodes. But the work has gotten crazier, and I'm married now, so and with a house that I have to maintain.
Someone married you, Daryl?
Yeah, pity her, right? But yeah, so it's mostly the podcast and work, and I seem to have even less time than I did before, including for geocaching.
Oh. Marriage will do that to you.
So far this year, Daryl?
I found 2 event caches, and I believe that's it for the entire year so far.
Jess, how many we have so far this year, Jess? You know? Oh, she's got a kid. It's hard for her to. She's listening, guys. She's on. There she is.
I just brought myself into the room here via phone. We have like 140-ish, I think, for the month so far.
Oh, nice. Oh, there you go. Nice. Steven's ad infinitum. What have you been up to?
Well, I moved around about, like I said, it was insane. So after I left, I think I moved around another 4 times, finally settling back into southern Utah. Had a bunch of kids in my house, somewhere between 4 and 9 at all times.
9.
Yeah.
Those aren't ages; those are quantities.
Those are quantities.
So last time you were in Montana, were you not? Is that where you were?
Was.
Okay, now you're back in Utah.
Southern Utah, so the high desert, so no snow shoveling.
Oh, nice. Ooh, dog. Sarah, what about you?
Oh, well, since I talked to you, you've missed out on a hell of a lot of stories. Most of them very embarrassing for me, but I'll tell you later. But I've been lucky enough to attend 4 megas over the last couple of years. In the UK, Wellington's and a couple in Aussie. Finally completed my Fizzy Grid. Yeah, I know this is small beer for you guys, but hey.
Congrats.
I've completed all the Jasmer I can do without traveling to Europe or the States. So I've put out got a virtual. I was fortunate, put it out as part of the New Zealand Geo Tour, which I ended up helping set up, and that went live in October.
Nice.
That was kind of crazy.
Nice.
And I've been spending a lot of December, January trying to find as many of the Geo Tour caches as I can. So I've got about 30 to go, but that'll have to wait till Easter because the dreaded work gets in the way.
Yeah, the dreaded work, of course. Yeah, of course.
No, I just had a good time.
And is anybody planning on going to the 20th anniversary event in Seattle? Out of curiosity.
I was planning on it, but I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to pull it off now.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh,
No.
Yeah, we're going. Expo, do you even cache anymore? Just out of curiosity.
I do, but very little. Like kind of when we have time. Usually on vacation, like when we're traveling. So,
one of the few people who actually caches less than I do.
No. I'd love to go,
I thought
but
it was a prerequisite.
I haven't got the lead.
I think so. I certainly give it the effort.
I'm sorry, Info Ferret. I'm assuming you're not going. You might be going. I'm assuming you're not.
I would love to, but it's a little bit close to something else I can't get out of, and I'd have to have an aunt that I have no idea exists, leave me millions to find the airfare.
What about Corey? Are you planning on going up there?
You know, I would love to go. My family actually decided that they were going to surprise everybody with a Hawaii vacation, so that's around the same time.
Right at the same time. Wow, that's great. Well, good for you. I guess Hawaii. That doesn't suck.
No, not at all.
Not bad.
Could pick up another state, right?
Right.
Yeah. I know that's one of the difficult states to get right there.
I've already got that state.
Oh, okay.
Hawaii?
My in-laws are from Hawaii, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at
It
you.
would probably be one of the easier ones for me to get. There's a direct flight
You have a direct flight, yeah.
from Auckland. Yeah, mind you, there's a few places that you can fly to directly. I think Houston's got it, San Fran, and there's a couple of others.
Yep.
So one of the questions: do you still geocache on a hike or vacations, etc.? I'm assuming everybody still geocaches. I'm assuming, correct?
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Chad, I know you. We talk every week.
Are you saying that I should not bother answering any of these? Because everyone knows.
I know you cache.
Aren't vacations just a reason to go geocaching more?
It is.
It's a reason for me to sneak geocaching in.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Unfortunately, Chad's got the kind of wife that doesn't like it. Doesn't like.
Although last weekend when we went down to the Martinez, California area, we stopped off at a couple of different virtuals that she actually quite enjoyed. So
Really enjoyed.
Yes.
Well,
See, for us, most of our vacations center around some kind of mega event. So it's like West Bend or going caching, Geo Woodstock.
Oh, nice. Hey, Sarah, somebody in the chat room just said RNZ is starting Auckland and New York nonstop, 18 hours flight time.
Yep, I didn't say it was a short flight, but yes, there are plenty. I mean, hey, if Jacinda can pick up Stephen Colbert from the airport, if anybody's coming through Wellington, let me know.
So, next question we got from a patron: would you do another podcast? Why or why not? If not, why? But would you do another podcast?
So, I mean, yeah, I've answered that. So, I mean, yeah, I'm doing one now. I enjoy doing podcasts.
Yeah. And you have a voice for podcasting, too.
Well, thanks.
You have a very good voice. Daryl.
Sorry.
No more podcasts. I've got too many podcasts. No, actually, the wife and I keep talking about doing one.
I think you guys did one. Did you guys?
We did a vlog. We didn't do another podcast.
That wasn't a podcast.
No, because there wasn't an audio stream for it. It was only on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Steven's ad infinitum.
You know, if I were asked, I'd come on and share some time like tonight. It's just so hard. You know, I don't think I'll ever suffer from the empty nest syndrome. Mm-hmm. And my wife just loves to keep bringing more kids on board. So it's one of those things that it's hard. I mean, I keep having to mute myself because my kids are going crazy. I got kids in and out of the house all night. So
ages aged what to what?
Right now from 9 to 14.
9 months or 9 years?
I have 9 years. I have 9, 11, and 14 at home right now.
Oh, that's a handful, man. Wow. God bless you. Oh, man. Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, I miss it. I keep thinking about it, but I've not sort of found an angle that's interesting or different enough yet. So I'm open to ideas. I'd never say never again.
Okay, fair enough. Next question. What?
Hey, you didn't ask me, dude.
I'm sorry, Chad.
If someone invited me to do another podcast of a non-geocaching variety as a secondary host, because I'm not setting all this shit up. I would do it. Yeah, I would do it.
Really? You have time for a second?
I didn't say I had time for it. I said I would do it.
Oh, okay. A weekly one?
A weekly one.
Sure. Jesse, would you do another weekly one if it did include me?
Have to be a knitting podcast.
In addition to this one, yes.
Probably not.
Why not?
In place of this one, perhaps.
Oh.
I mean, and I don't, you know what I mean. If and when this one is no longer, for me.
When I say when I fully retire, that's when you retire, basically. Is that what it is?
Probably, maybe before. We'll see.
Oh, all right, fair
I don't know how long you're planning on doing this, but
until I get tired of it. That's what I'm. Right now, I'm still having fun. As long as I still enjoy it, it's all good.
It's very time consuming. I mean, yes. I know how much time I put into it behind the scenes, and Scott puts in 3 times as much as I do.
It is very time. And X-Punk, who currently does one, I'm sure you understand as well how much time goes into one as well.
It does. It takes a lot of time.
Yes. Okay, fair enough. So next question. What one thing would you most like to see in a podcast? And along the same lines, what one thing would you like never to see in another?
Oh, man. Somebody else go first.
All right. I'm going to say I really want to see a game show podcast.
A game show podcast?
Yeah. We actually talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, that was... Whatever happened to that idea?
It takes so much. You think this type of show takes a lot of work? Yeah. Imagine how tough it is doing a game show where you have to.
About that so many years ago.
Yeah, it really requires like a staff to put together the questions. Even if you're only going to do it monthly, think how many questions you have to have and how many times those have to be vetted to make sure that they have the closest to correct and only answer.
I don't think wow. Jesse right now. I see her and I see her head spin right now.
Could you imagine Survivor geocaching?
That look in her face right now, like I can make that work.
Well, and
I can see. I know Jesse's face.
Andy, do you remember the talk about doing that at Midwest Geobash?
Oh yes,
I actually bought the buzzers so that we could do the talk show with the questions and everything recorded and just stream them out later, because I really wanted to make that happen, and the whole thing fell apart rather quickly.
Well, would it be like a stump? I mean, I do the Stump the Guests every December. I do that.
Yeah. But the ones that we talked about were more like your traditional buzzing game show style.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Well, try to make it faster action and everything.
Is it like Ryan's Game Show on YouTube?
I've never seen Ryan's Game Show.
There you go. Check out Ryan's Game Show on YouTube.
Definitely.
And hey, Sarah, InfoFair, See My Shell is looking for someone to take over his podcast because he's coming to the States.
What?
Yeah, he's moving to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Mad, crazy guy.
There you go.
I wouldn't say no, but
talk to him. Send him an information. He's looking for it. I know.
I thought he had a fair few people who sort of dipped in and out of his show. So
I think the girl who was on it left. I think it was just him again. I think. It's only once a month.
Yeah.
And I know he's moving to New York, so I think he's gonna give the show either. I mean, you're in New Zealand, not Australia.
Yeah, it's 2 to 4 hours time zone difference, so it's a lot less crazy than the sort of 14 to 17 hours difference. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Chad, anything you'd most like to see in a podcast or not want to see in a podcast?
I think the game show idea is pretty intriguing. I'm a trivia nut, so
right,
that's
Daryl,
something that's very interesting.
You've got time, right? Yeah,
I have. So I barely have time to produce Geo Gearheads anymore. If anyone noticed, we don't have that nice list of 4 weeks of schedule posted anymore.
I always say Daryl doesn't have children. Daryl has time. It's what I always like to say.
Yeah.
Because anyone with children knows you got no time when you have children. Okay, moving along. What is your best memory from being on the podcast? We'll start with X-Pac because he's.
I think for me just making the friends that I made. I had Daryl. I didn't know him beforehand, and we met several times. We did a show live in South Bend, Indiana. That was a lot of fun. We did a couple other live shows. Just that time of getting to know him and the other listeners, it was great.
Mm-hmm. Daryl?
There's two that I'm kind of torn between. One was the CacherCon that we did.
That was fun.
That was a live show up here in my backyard, pretty much. An all-day event. But we kicked off the entire event with the show. The other one, and that one we actually live streamed too, didn't we?
I think we did. Yeah.
That was video live stream, and this is
way back when.
Kick, I think was the name of the product. I can't remember now.
It's easy now.
Yeah, now it's a breeze compared to that. That was rough. But then the other one was Bad Cop. X-Punk X and I went caching, virtual caching.
That was fun.
In Toledo, and I brought the recorder along. We did a little bit of a bonus show, and that was
that was a blast.
The best day.
I forgot about that, Daryl. That was fun.
That was amazing. Including what was it, a 6-stage virtual cache?
It was,
That was like a 20-mile drive.
Oh God!
But we got all of the virtuals in the Toledo area.
Nice.
Wow.
Sarah, what about you?
I was running through a long list, and I thought, the two that stuck out in my head was the very first sort of almost audition show I did, which was real seat of the pants flying because I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and poor Andy, head hard hat, was sort of apparently had a migraine, so was lying on the floor wishing the world would go away.
Yes. Yeah.
And the second one was when I totally derailed the show by throwing in underwater hockey.
Underwater hockey, one of my favorite episodes. Yeah, underwater hockey.
Forgot about that.
Sarah mentioned underwater hockey, and I literally stopped the show and I said, "Wait,
what the hell?
We're not going to discuss underwater hockey."
Yeah,
we're not discussing this.
That one's now got into adventure racing. So instead of half drowning himself, he's now spending a fortune on mountain bikes, hurtling downhill fast and trying to work out which bit of him he's going to injure this time.
Oh yes, maybe. I know we have coming in March. We have another repeat show coming up because we'll be away in Florida, and might have to pull the underwater hockey episode. For the repeat.
Fair enough.
I forgot about that one. Tell the underwater hockey.
Apparently there's underwater rugby as well, but I've never seen that.
Corey, what about you, sir?
It's just it's the fact of being able to be on a show and kind of have people know you. I mean, especially going to a lot of the megas. I knew 3 Stars before 3 Stars was part of Logworks. I mean, they were there with the last block party with me, and I ran into them, and they knew who I was. It was one of those cool things. And then just being able to get to know you guys and become friends, even though I haven't met anybody. I've met Head Hard Hat because I just ended up in North Carolina and I stayed at his house for a weekend. So.
Okay. Taz, what about you?
I've got 2 favorite memories. One was just a few weeks ago with someone invading your house. So Joshua. All of a sudden, Joshua pops through the door. That was hilarious. And then the other one has to be Corey making snow angels.
Corey making snow angels. Yes, a fantastic episode. Corey made snow angels. Yes.
I mean, for those of you who haven't watched the YouTube video of that, he literally goes outside, falls in the snow with his, holding his phone up there and streaming his making a snow angel.
Unfortunately, I don't know which episode that is. Or I
don't recall what episode it was either.
That was on a repeat as well.
I'm sure somebody in the chat room could find that one out pretty quick.
Jess, what about you? You have a favorite moment? Favorite memory?
I have a couple. So first, having Brian Roth and Rock Chalk on back-to-back episodes and hearing all of the old stories from them of the starts of geocaching and how things came to be, and I could sit and listen to those guys for hours.
Right.
I actually went back and re-listened to those shows again just because the stories are so great, and there's just something about what they've created in this whole community and everything. And the other part, my other favorite thing is when Scott and I finally figured out how to do the call-in feature, because I know that was something that was really important to him, and actually go, that moment of, oh my God, this is actually going to work.
Yes,
was like such a cool thing to be part of.
Yeah, when we had Cody Dot calling in and Taz was like, I could hear him. Like, oh my God, we did
it's working.
Because Daryl will attest, because me and Daryl spent many hours on the phone, and Daryl had me buy many hundreds of dollars worth of equipment try out to see if it worked, and most of it didn't. And so just to have it finally there, and Daryl was also with Daryl would be like, all right, let's try this. All right, no, didn't work. Let's try this. And then finally getting it to work, and it works amazingly. It really does. So yeah, that was, I remember that night. Yeah, I remember lying in bed with Jesse, just going like, we did it. Like, I can't believe we did it. It actually works. So and eager to start the show again. Then to get the show started again. So yeah, that's one of my favorite memories as well. That one. Also, we've talked about that the Glimpse one with Corey. That's one of my favorite times. That one, there was an episode where Jesse and I went for an FTF, and we met that couple from out of the country live on show. Do you remember that, Chad?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, that one, yeah, that was
great. Yeah, like that show. That's one of my greatest memories. I had a lot of fun with that. So yeah, I could go on. I mean, I have a ton of them. I've done the show. Chad and I have been on the show a long time recently. So next up, another question: do you miss the podcast?
Oh yeah, I think I definitely do. I mean, it definitely kept me connected to the community, connected to geocaching. It made me go, hey, I need to get out there and do something because we're talking about something on the show.
Right, yeah.
So it kept me definitely in community with and doing geocaching. So I definitely do miss that.
Okay. Daryl?
Yeah, definitely. But I don't miss getting an extra hour or so of sleep.
Yeah, you remember Daryl's an hour ahead right now. So
yeah, right now it's 10:20, and I have to be back at the office in about 9 hours.
Yeah, same here. 10:20 for me also.
Yeah, but Daryl goes to bed at 9:30.
That's true. I stay up later.
Well, it's 4:20 in the afternoon for me.
Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, I do miss it. I mean, it gave me sort of having to do the what have we done this week made me really keep in touch with what was happening around the geocaching community. And I just as I say, I just met so many great people.
Sure, absolutely. Corey. Hi, welcome back. I miss passing notes.
Oh.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
Awesome.
So for those who are listening on the audio, Corey just put up held up a note that said, "I miss passing
I
notes."
miss passing notes. Next question. What is one of the biggest challenges you've seen in geocaching? One of the biggest challenges you've seen
Challenges.
in geocaching.
Do you mean challenge caches or just sort of?
No, what's the challenge?
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge you've seen?
I don't know that I'd say it's a challenge, but I really do miss actually having paper in front of me and taking the paper out and doing it way old school instead of just bringing my smartphone out and seeing like the 5 million geocaches that are right there. Like I kind of do miss having a book and having, taking that out and geocaching with that.
But do you miss using the laptop with the external GPS?
No, I don't miss that. So
This is one of the gentlemen I know who's actually done that.
yeah.
I didn't do that for geocaching, at least, but
I did, and it was terrible. It was the bad idea.
Yeah.
What about you, Darryl?
I would say the biggest challenge has been finding good cache locations and getting permission, and that's kind of on both sides as a finder as well, because I've run into only a few, but I've run into some of those locations where people who claim to own or manage the land get very irate.
Right. Yes. You think it's
I try not to put caches on places where there are landowners to deal with.
Well, and as someone who's supposed to know the rules, I tend to be a lot more sensitive to that. I've actually had caches I've gone and placed in like parking lots and whatnot, where I'll go, you know what? I shouldn't do that because I can't get the right people on the line to give me permission.
right. Sure.
Right.
So I've pulled caches that I placed but never listed because I just thought better of it. So that's been my biggest challenge, I think.
Wait, hold on, Jesse.
Yes.
You are messing with your mic, and it is totally coming through.
I'm so sorry. I'm fiddling.
She's fiddling with her mic cord.
I can't hear it at all. I'm so sorry about that.
Jesse, well, I got you on. What's the biggest challenge aside from trying to keep quiet? What's the biggest challenge? Biggest challenge you've seen in geocaching?
Aside from the obvious, trying to find time to go caching.
She stole mine.
I don't know that I would call it. I don't know that I would call it a challenge, but maybe more of a frustration of unmaintained caches, which is why I'm really happy to see this initiative that HQ's been taking lately to try to clean up and refresh the game
Air
board.
quote, refresh the game board. Hashtag.
Right.
Refresh the game board. All right. Sarah?
Well, I'll just. You guys have said a lot of them, but for me, the biggest challenge this year was when I got invited to help put the New Zealand Geo Tour together. Now, fine, we were given a theme, which was first contact, visit, and his navigator visiting New Zealand 250 years ago. So that was the basis of the theme. We had to find caches in specified locations to fit in with a road show. And by the time we got involved and got told we've got to do this, we had 3 weeks to get 20 plus cache owners in specified locations and 100 caches between us in place. And I don't know about your areas, but around central Wellington and Porora, there's cache congestion is a very real issue. Finding good locations that I actually want people to go to, that you could make some sort of significance to fit with the theme, and getting all that in place in a month.
Sure. Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. Corey.
You know, it's one of those things where I actually stopped caching for a little bit after I left the show, and it was hard to find caches that sparked my interest. You know,
But you're back now. You see, you like to send me pictures of you in warm weather caching.
You know, I'm back now. I've got the geocaching bug again, and it's not so much about quantity as it is great views and just out there having fun.
Yes, he's taunting me because I want to go to Utah, and he's trying to show me, come to Utah. Look what we have here. Come to Utah.
There's two great virtuals in Zion that I have yet to get. I've been in there many times, but it was before caching.
Save them for me. Save them. We'll go get
We should all go and meet there and hang out and cache.
I told Jesse,
Yeah.
how are we not going to Utah yet?
I'm going to be going there next.
The subway
this year.
now actually needs permits, so you have to get permits for that. But Angel's Landing is one of my favorite hikes. I used to do it yearly.
Yeah, Jesse, we got to get
So that one requires a pretty vertical elevation change, right?
You have Walters Wiggles, which is switchbacks every, I think they're about 20, 30 feet long, and they're brutal. But once you get up to the spine, once you get up to Chicken Out Point, which is right above the spine, I mean, it's about 1,000 feet straight down, and you're looking at an 8-foot wide spine to go up at points.
So since my wife will be with me, that's a no-go for me.
No, definitely do that.
But I will be, I'll definitely be there.
Just don't pick a windy day.
Yes. Yes. I will. We will get out there, Corey. Jesse will eventually find a cheap flight to Utah. We will be out there. I promise you. I really want to. I really want to get out there. It's beautiful. Every time I see pictures of Utah. Chad.
I was going to say time, but now I'm switching that up and saying knee replacement.
Knee replacement. Yes. Well, you had your knee replaced.
I have my knee replacement, so the challenge is over, and I still need to get more walking and hiking in order to get my hiking length before my knee starts wanting to, or more about the muscles around it before they start wanting to say, "Hey, enough is enough."
Sure. Okay. I think that might be all the questions here. Any plans to check out the 8th anniversary? Yes.
You had, do you still geocache on a hike, vacation, etc.?
Yeah, I asked that, didn't I?
Yep.
Do you still geocache? More or less, is what it is.
Okay. Well, you didn't ask me.
Oh, sorry, Chad. Do you still geocache?
I still geocache. I don't miss since I started geocaching. There has not been a vacation that I've taken where I have not at least found some caches.
Oh, wow. And that says a lot because you go everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, I guess I have to ask everybody. Jesse, do you still geocache? Chad says I have to ask everybody.
When I can.
Okay. That's good to know. We did get some emails, guys. So we got one from Hailmeister, who was a patron. Thank you, Hailmeister. Hello, all. I just wanted to congratulate all the hosts, past and present, on reaching your milestone 600th podcast. I've been a faithful weekly listener for about 10 years. So that's just about all of us, right? I think
Wow. Yeah.
And I enjoy listening to the variety of topics that you provide during my commutes to work. So thank you so much, Hailmeister. Also, somebody, guys, I don't know. I put this on social media. Somebody got us this plaque. It says the Geocaching Podcast 600th episode. I have no idea who gave
Awesome.
it. Chad, did you get it?
I didn't get you that.
Not
No,
you? That's not you?
that's not me.
Corey?
Not me.
That's something you would do. No, Corey, no. Daryl?
Nope.
Why not, jerks? Thanks a lot. Wow.
It's always
You're
fun to get stuff in the mail and you have no idea who you got it from.
It happens to Chad all the time, apparently. Chad gets way more free stuff than I do.
Here recently, it's happened a lot.
The next one's from Alicia. I am a huge fan and listen to your show weekly, usually after you air because I forget each time, and usually on my way to work to keep me awake while driving. I just have a quick question for all of you. Oh, here's a question, guys. I have become a recent hider. How often do you hide, and what's your favorite hide you've done?
Oh.
There you go.
I don't.
Oh, he's chomping at the bit there.
I don't hide very often, but one of my favorite hides was it was called Alien Cache, and it was a mystery cache, and in order to get the coordinates, you had to listen to some audio and extract the coordinates from the audio. I've had lots of people ask for help on it. It's one of my favorite ones because it's very devious.
Mm-hmm. So it's one of those audio ones you have to listen to.
Yes.
Nice. I did one of those with Dark Side of the Moon, walking around a Wizard of Oz
awesome
thing in Chicago. It was really cool. Daryl, what about you, buddy?
I don't hide many caches anymore, in large part because I can't find available spaces. I do host events. The favorite cache,
your bubble tea events.
Yeah, the bubble tea events. They're meet and greets. But the favorite cache, I think, was still the first one I hid, which is probably the one that I took the most time to actually do right, which was a theme of a bank for a travel bug hotel.
Oh, nice.
With a Pelican container, and the original logbook was the little deposit and withdrawal slips.
Nice. And is that still around for the record?
No, that got muggled about 2 years after it got placed.
Oh.
But also caching changed quite a bit in that time, and the travel bug hotels kind of didn't really work so well anymore.
Mm-hmm. X-Punk, is yours still out there?
It is.
Oh, nice. All right.
It is.
Where in Indiana? You're in Indiana.
It
right?
is in Indiana. Yep. Northern Indiana.
Stevens at infinitum.
Well, I actually just hid my first cache in
Your
3
first
years.
cache ever? Oh, in years. Okay.
No, in 3 years.
Okay.
So no, I've hit 30 of them or so like that. But I was never a big hider. But I still got one that's out there and active. It's called Disintegrator Made Me Do It. It's one of my caching buddies that I used to go out with, and it's a bison in a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about
high up the tree.
It's about this big around. It's a PVC replica of a bison tube, and I actually had somebody do a throwdown because I couldn't find it.
Did they throw down like a big PVC pipe?
Yeah, it was one of my buddies. I said, "Hey, go find this because I need pictures." I was up in Montana. I was like, "I need pictures of this thing." And he said, "I couldn't find it, but I threw down another container." I said, "No." I said, "Go back and look a little closer." And so when he took a bunch of pictures, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, he felt kind of silly after that.
What about you, Sarah?
Well, I think the best one I've hidden recently was one of the GeoTour ones, because I got one in Te Papa, which is our national museum in the centre of Wellington, all of which is blocked out by the caches nearby. But I managed to get an earth cache written and approved overnight with no changes.
Oh, wow. That rarely happens for me.
I don't know who was more shocked, me or the reviewer.
Taz 427, sir.
I've got my favorite is Texas Totally Tubular number 4. Is it still there? Which is a gadget cache that I put out in Texas, and which basically it's about a 4-inch PVC pipe, 4-inch round PVC pipe that is about maybe 5 feet tall. It's got a cap on the top. You pull the cap off, and it's got a string that's hanging down there. And you got to figure out that there's a mechanism at the very bottom that if you pull it will shove out the cache through the top, which is like looks like a PVC pipe bomb.
Oh, lovely, nice.
Safe.
It's safe, but you know,
friggin' LEO yet. Where's John?
Nobody's
Texas
called
after all.
Nobody's called the bomb squad on it because you put the pipe bomb back in the container and you don't see it.
Oh Lord, Jeff Brown, show your nets.
Probably the one that I'm the most proud of is the one that you hated me the most for, Scott, and that would be your 9,000th find series. Yeah. So I had a series of 9 traditional caches, and each one of those had a piece of the coordinates to a final puzzle cache that was then 9 stages
long.
Wow, that's intense.
When I say I was there for the day, I was there for the day. The day.
Pass.
Originally, I was going to have the 9 stages of the final go take you back and forth, and then I decided now I'll just take you all the way around.
I hate her
so
so
much.
now. I hate her so
much. Is that at least a 5-5?
No, I don't think it was a 5-5. It's gone now.
No, the final was probably like a 3. Wait, here I have it right here. The final was a 3.5, 3.5.
It didn't last very long because there were so many freaking stages, and like, not that many people did it, did they? I think before stages started going missing. Did you eventually make it just a cache? If I remember correctly.
No, the whole series is archived now because someone stole it. Somebody went through and actually stole. We had a cache thief in that area years ago, and they went through and stole every single container, including all 9 of the stages of the final.
Hey, did they at least log it?
No, I don't think they did.
No, of course not. No, of course not. So that there were only 26 people who actually found.
Yeah,
that
it wasn't
final.
that. It wasn't that many. Yeah. Well, my favorite.
That was a shame. That was fun.
Yeah, my favorite is one actually I just archived, called Mall Hunt. I had a mall I grew up in, and I knew what I wanted to do. I did a letterbox in the mall where you'd walk the mall and you'd take notes and you have to follow, like there was you take a right at the movie theater left, and I had icons for each. So first you had to walk the mall, then you had to figure out the icons on where to go. So like a forward arrow and then a movie then a movie reel. So the movie theater, then a left arrow, so you take a left to the movie theater, and stuff like that. And then at one point you had to count pillars on something, and that's how you got the final chords, because you have to use your GPS on a letterbox. So then I had it and then it was in the parking lot. Unfortunately, the mall went through a drastic change, and they're like tearing part of it down. So I have to wait until they put them all back together and then revamp the whole thing. But that stood for years. I mean, I had that up for almost 10 years, and people loved it. And I literally just had to archive it because they're tearing the mall, like they took a whole section of the mall is gone. So I had to archive that one. But that wasn't my favorite, just because it was a place I grew up, and so to put a cache there was really nice. So all right, I got another email, guys. Spatula 6 says, I can't listen live, but I wanted to say congrats and mazel tov, a fellow member of the tribe, on your 600th show. I only started listening about a year ago, but I have long commutes and have been listening back to shows from 2014. Well, that's who is that? That's Corey, that's Daryl, that's Chad, that's Info Ferret. I don't think that's X-Punk.
Nope, that's past my time.
Yeah. I'll look forward to this episode tomorrow. Well, thank you so much, Spatula 16. Spatula 6. So thank you so much. And that's about all I got, guys. We are past our hour already. So before we go, I want to give each of you a chance to pimp anything you got to pimp out, or anything you want to say. I'm going to start with X-Punk. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I just want to thank you for having me on the show. Like it's been a pleasure to come back and chat with you and Daryl and the rest of the hosts here that I've never actually chatted with. But it's been great. And if you want to check out the podcast, dudesanddadspodcast.com, that's the one I'm doing now. But thanks again for having me on.
No, thank you, sir. You are the grandfather of the show, man. So thank you so much. Daryl.
Well, I do want to say thanks as well to Andy for creating the show, to Andy for keeping it going, and to you, Scott, for taking it on and rejuvenating it as well.
Thank you.
But for myself, it's GeoGearheads, geogearheads.com, and you can find it on YouTube and Facebook. We're doing those streams live now. And we really appreciate all of the chats that we get from that stuff. It's a lot more fun when you have the interaction.
It isn't.
It is.
It's a lot of fun with phone calls when we actually
when
we have a topic and we get calls. It's a lot of fun. Steven's ad infinitum. Go ahead, sir.
It's been cool. I said in the chat, I said I've been kind of fanboying, sitting next to Andy. It was one of my first experiences when I didn't know anything about geocaching, and I was just brand new. And then, I listened to podcasts, and I just came across this podcast, and it was something that just got me so interested. And then when I was able to be a part of it, the community is just what makes geocaching one of the best things out there. So, I mean, outlets like this are just, I can't wait for another 600 shows. I don't know who will be on.
I don't think I'll be the host on 1200. I can't imagine that. But Sarah, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say thank you for giving me a chance to be part of this crazy ride. I've had an absolute blast. And you say, anyone wants to come over to New Zealand for the Auckland Mega, which I have absolutely no part in organising, so I can go there and just enjoy it. Or come and do the Geo Tour, and you can blame me for a fair chunk of it, but not all. And there's some absolutely amazing places on it.
Okay. Chad, do you have anything to say? You're still a host. So
thank you for listening to the Geocaching Podcast.
Jesse, you have anything to
add? Ditto. I mean, this has been a lot of fun. It was fun on the other side, watching it over the years. And then, seeing Scott's side when he was on as a host, and now actually to be a part of it. It's been a lot of fun. I enjoy taking everybody's phone calls, so keep them coming.
Yeah, Jesse's it's funny because Jesse's such a not a face of the show, but she's a very important aspect of the show. You guys don't realize the whole call-in feature. There is a whole thing where Jesse doesn't take the phone calls. I literally see on my screen who's calling and what the topic is that they want to talk about. So when I bring them in, I have an idea, usually, unless Jesse screws up, what you want to talk about or who you want. She's brought him in before when she's giving me some doozies over the year.
Sorry, I was just thinking of the lady from Ohio.
So kudos to Jessie. It's a tough job, and she's the one. She is the first person you talk to when you call this show. So kudos to Jessie, because it's not an easy job that she does. And she juggles that, and I throw questions at her, and she's like, "Wait, what?" And I have to remember she's not always listening because sometimes she's on call.
Right, she's multitasking.
Yeah, she literally is juggling while she's doing this show. So kudos to her. And for me, awesome. Again, X-Punk, I adore you for starting this show. This show wouldn't be here without you. So
thanks.
Thank you. And Daryl, my love for you holds no bounds. You know that. And Corey, you were an awesome host when you were here. So were you, Sarah. Both of you were awesome hosts. Corey, we had a ton of fun through the years. Chad, you're amazing. I love you. You're a great host, sir. Jesse,
love you too.
I hope you know I love you. And we are going onward and upward, guys, because coming up next week, guys, we start the 600s off. We start off February. February begins. And guys, if you have friends who just started caching, you bring them to my show, because next month is newbie month. All month long is newbie month, guys. Mm-hmm. Where is my I don't even know where it is. There it is. Oh yeah, we're going monthly again. We're doing a month again. We're going newbie month. We're starting out next week. Essential tips for geocaching beginners is what the show is going to be about. And then all month of February, we're talking all newbie stuff. So if you got friends who just started caching, you bring them here now. Now's the time to do it.
And if you're going to listen to one of those, listen to the number 603. How to write a great log.
How to write a great. Well, hey, spoiler alert, Chad. I guess. Chad, why don't you? I don't have it in front of me. Why don't you read what the month is going to be? So
okay, so the month is going to be 601, which is February 5th. Essential tips for beginners.
Yes, sir.
February 12th, 602. Terms and phrases. February 19th, 603. How to write a great log. February 26th, 604. Hiding a geocache.
Hiding a geocache. Yes. So we are going to the whole month of February is going to be the newbie month. And then coming back in March, we're going to start off with basically what we're doing before, including a one-up. We'll bring one up back in the one-up contest back in March. So next month's going to be month, guys. It's going to be fun. All X-Punk, Stevens, Info Ferret, and Daryl, guys, thank you so much. You guys are the best. You make this show. what it was. So I appreciate you guys very, very much. Shorty Nits, Chaz, thank you guys for everything you do. Much appreciated. And all right, let me close this show. Let me get to my closing shows. There we go. Here we go. Please join us again every Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central as we stream live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and on our website, geocachingpodcast.com. The archived video versions of our podcast are available on our website or on our YouTube channel, and the audio versions are available on most of your favorite podcatchers. Hey, if you like the show, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and rate, review, and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it, and it really helps the show when you do. If you prefer to watch the show live, make sure to click the subscribe or get notified buttons to know when we actually go live. And hey, if you haven't already, please consider becoming a patron of our show. With tiers starting as low as $3 bones, you will get a ton of additional information, extra video, extra audio, only available to our patron members. Please head on over to patreon.com today and subscribe. That's patreon.com/The Geocaching Podcast. Thanks once again to our sponsors, Cachly, Logwork, FTF Geocacher Magazine, the Max Odds Body Company, Practical Geocaching, and PathTags.com. Please visit our sponsors, and when you make a purchase, you tell them the GCPC sent you. That's all we got this week, so we'll see you next week, taking your phone calls, talking geocaching. In the meantime, be good, be safe, hug your loved ones, and we will talk to you guys next week. Oh, we are clear. But we are still live. That's weird. It's clear of the audio. All right. Thank you guys so much. Corey Stevens, what are you saying? Oh, that's Corey. Thank you guys so much. Hey, everybody watching live. We had a lot of watchers tonight. We appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you guys next week for Newbie Month. So, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in tonight. We'll talk to you guys soon.